explain to us what a sling is?
If the urethra becomes defective, so it stops working well as a sphincter or a valve mechanism to prevent leakage falling or prevent urine falling through, one of the tactics that can be used surgically is a sling. So people's own tissue can be harvested from underneath the abdominal wall. So if you like, the abdominal wall is skin and then a fat layer, and then directly underneath that is this tough stuff called fascia. And it's a very durable, strong material that you can use to go around the urethra, so that if someone's got a urethral closure problem, what is not absolutely rare, but there are certain risk factors for this more severe form of stress incontinence, the bladder neck may be open at rest. So if we put a sling behind the urethra, it then can wrap around the urethra it goes in a supportive way just behind it. And then the sling, which is a curve, then is continued with suspension stitches or very strong non-absorbable suture material, and then they get tied to each other above the muscles. Anytime you move your muscles or abdominal walls, say cough, sneezing, jumping, but even lesser forms of exertion such as just tripping over something suddenly. Some people will leak when they blow their nose. Some people will even leak when they just speak loudly. Just any form of abdominal exertion, and the sling will lift the urethra up and just support it that little bit and cause closure of the urethra at the point where they use their abdominal wall. I use fascia. Quite a few people still use fascia. Why fascia hasn't had as wide usage is a lot of people associated with significant morbidity or significant complications. And so in more recent years, a lot of slings have been done using synthetic tissue, such as a mesh made of a plastic type of material. That's had very wide usage, and there's a whole range of products which are associated with new problems, and so I don't tend to offer that, just because with the fascia you'll never get erosion of the urethra, and if you get obstruction, it isn't associated with the same complications. I was showing you before that the prostate is an organ that has sphincteric function. You can also apply a sling around this part of the urethra. So you can place a sling from side to side under the bone to support the male urethra upwards to stop leakage if men have stress incontinence. So stress incontinence is a condition that I was describing before where abdominal pressure, so exertion, causes leakage. That's a different condition from urge incontinence, where your bladder fills and gets to a certain point, you get urgency, then you try to get to the toilet in time, can't get there. And for that type of problem, if you treat it with a sling, you'll potentially make the problem worse, and hence the importance of defining accurately what the problem is before applying a surgical treatment. And so because there's different approaches and not all conditions are treated with slings, it's worth knowing what the problem is precisely. The only thing is you can get obstruction as a result of the sling, and then when you've got the urine flowing during a test to diagnose the problem, you can see quite a clear cut-off. So during voiding, something like this, where patient's urinating and it gets to where the sling is causing obstruction, and that can cause a lot of problems with urgency urge incontinence. You would think intuitively with flow problems, but often that's only picked up by recurrent infections, urgency urge incontinence, even though it is truly an obstructive problem.